Hi, so my name is Laura Esposito, and during my time at Gallatin, I have been studying international development from antiquity to the present, focusing on the ideas that the Greeks and Romans gave us and how those are fundamentally linked to our development today and how we conceptualize modernity and progress. So today I'm going to be giving a couple examples of how we can view antiquity and in relation to how we develop today and how we perceive of those differences. So the first example that we have is government. And the Greeks and the Romans understood the need for separation of power. They set up executive, judicial, and legislative branches within a system of prefects, consuls, tribunes, and assemblies. And they understood the need for checks and balances and term limits as well. And in fact, the Roman Senate also had 100 people, similar to how we have it today in our own. So basically, we have remodeled that system to fit the US today, and it has proven a pretty good system. The next example is economics of the household. And in ancient Greece and Rome, there was a division of labor in the sense that men were responsible for the duties outside of the house, and women were responsible for the duties within the house, such as weaving, food preparation, rearing of the children, etc. Now today, we've seen some shifts away from that in a variety of ways. Firstly, you see that there's a blurring of the gender roles associated with those duties, and women and men are starting to share those duties. Secondly, you see the commoditization of those duties, in the sense that companionship and care and cleaning are able to be sold and bought in the marketplace. Thirdly, you see that women, contrary to popular belief, are actually better providers for the household than men and use funds better and more efficiently allocated within the household, which is part of the reason for so many microfinance organizations to give loans to women and not men. The third example is women's rights. Now, while elite women in society were able to function marginally in the political and business spheres, they were also allowed to divorce. They had the right to sue within courts and could own property. Now today, while we see that there's greater political participation in terms of voting, most women also are limited in different respects within those spheres. The final example that we have is the military and the role of relationships within the military. Now, in 4th century Thebes, there was an elite corps, a sacred band of 150 male same-sex warriors that were thought to be the strongest group because they were fighting next to their lovers and therefore would not act cowardly next to them. So, obviously we see that that has shifted a bit today. And furthermore, in Rome, you had a ban by Augustus of marriage while serving in the military because relationships were thought of as a distraction to your service to your country. Whereas 200 years later, under Septimius Severus, that ban was repealed because the military was thought of as a career path that should allow for people to have relationships. So with the current repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, we see that relationships have begun a new phase in the military and are allowing for people to again engage in relationships and not have that thought of as a detriment to their service, but rather a benefit. So to conclude, I hope that you have been able to reconceptualize your ideas of modernity and progress, and not only think of progress as linear and chronological, but also as cyclical and fundamentally tied to the past.